They talk about me breaking bread, didn't know I was listening. Finesse, but there you go. I'ma have to lay low. Secret agents on my block trying to drain souls. They hate my range, give me glory as the fame grows. Switch grips, cut the fro, and to change clothes. Finesse, but there you go. Finesse, it's the way. I'm faceless, nameless, with a golden plated stainless. Dark shades for the strangers, laying lines for the haters. Spectators watching what I move without a sound. Toboggan on my head, leather gloves, I be around. They got my phone tap, I'm hearing clicks on the dial. VPNs on the wire. Check the profile, mobilize with my kitchen. They sending bloodhounds. They watching imitate but can't duplicate the style. Got cameras in my lawn, cameras in my bucket, duct tape in my garage, cause I'm the one you wanna run with. That demons everywhere, want me in jail over some dumbness. Like who sent you? Run with. And what the hell you smoking? Turn your brain into an omelet. I'm the next finito. Ain't no more street code. The soul's getting recode. Finesse, but there you go. Finesse, this the way though. Victorious, our bloodline stems from the warriors.
refers to God's appointed feast days and times. Now, there are so many laws and commandments, and those of us that express an interest in learning the Hebrew roots of the Christian faith, it may seem overwhelming that, oh, there's all these commandments, and isn't that why Jesus came? We're not going to get a whole bunch bogged down into um, all of that tonight. Suffice it to say, on this channel, we're going to try to do as much as we can to disseminate as much information as we can. If you guys are willing to go on the journey, we're going to do Bible studies. We're going to, learn about the feast days. We're going to learn about the Hebrew days and times. We're going to learn just from a beginner's perspective. If you're interested in following that path, as the scripture says that in these times it is time to ask after the ancient paths and to follow them, you will see that because of Yeshua the Christ, the burden is very easy. It's very light. And those 613 commandments don't even halfway have anything to do with the true Judah. Okay? So, if you guys are willing to dive in, I'm willing to dive in, and we're going to just take this thing as far as we can take it. When I did that video last year, I really had a sense of urgency in terms of what I felt was going on in the world and what's going on. I feel that those things are all still going on, but if the sky hasn't split open in two, there's a reason why, and that means the harvest is plentiful and the workers are few. And so I have decided in all humility, death to the ego, decided to try my hand at the plow. I'm a writer, as you guys know, and I have things that I really am supposed to be working on in terms of writing, but just in terms of creating combustion and a combustion engine, I do feel pressed at this time to pick up this mantle and to move forward. And back then, a lot of you guys did express that, yes, some teaching videos would be in order. Yes, more live videos would be in order. But for myself and not being wanting to be in the spotlight, number one, not wanting to tell God I'm going to do something and not do it, number two, and just naturally being a person that will start something and not finish it. So I just would never want to take something so serious as saying I'm going to start this on the social media platforms and speak out under the authority of Yah, the Creator, and His Son, Yeshua HaMashiach. I would never dare unless I was willing to make some sort of solid commitment. So I am going to push forward and produce content and have, as much interaction and engagement as I can possibly have on this channel, on these platforms, and, just provide some basic teaching in my own way, in my own style, as the Lord allows and as He allows me to speak, whoever comes will. But it has to be done for the record. The number one thing, it has to be done for the record. We are in a time that what we speak is what we get, what we project is what we will have, what we ask God for, with all humility in our heart and being 100% clean hands, clean heart. This is especially the time where those things can be ours. It is what we ask of Yah right now. And if the thing that we ask is to help humanity and to help humanity get over the hump of what is to come, then I believe that Yah is going to not only make it possible, but take someone who was such an unwilling servant, such as myself, and compel them to do the things jump on there, and it kind of sends you into a back studio, and you it should alert me that somebody is waiting in the room or waiting in the studio. But so right now I don't see that. So I'm gonna move forward with pulling up a little something that I put together. Part of the journey here is that going to learn at the Hebrew uh, Judeo-Hebrew Learning Center that I went to some 10 years ago. I attended 4 years and earned the equivalent of a 4-year degree in the Hebrew roots of the Christian faith, okay? And when I first went in there, there were some things that I was privy to growing up and knowing, who I was as a black woman, who I was as a Caribbean black woman. I was raised to know that I was a person of the book. I was a person of the originals. I was a person that was unique and had a unique imprint and standing in this world. I was taught that that's a privilege, and that's why, again, a burden rests. If you were privileged in that way, that at this point is your currency. U.S. dollar, don't think on it that much. This is the new currency. If you are Judah and you know you are Judah and you are ready to stand up, that's the new currency. And I believe that's the currency that God is really at this point only getting ready to accept from Judah. So, as we step to the forefront, it's just important to understand that there's things that we are called to do. And again, Yeshua makes the burden light. I sincerely believe that those of us that go into the Hebrew side of the Christian faith, we have the pleasure and the honor of doing what we can in modern times is commanded by the law as we can, if we can, and should we choose to. If you choose to enter that arena, then you enter into a certain sacrifice. Yeshua is the ultimate sacrifice, but you then say, you know what? I'm going to do as Yeshua did as much as possible as it relates to the feast and to the Hebrew side of my faith, because I can. Because if it wasn't for Yeshua, you wouldn't be able to. We literally wouldn't be able to keep up with the 613 commandments, which, most of those were just added on, because people couldn't keep themselves from sinning. Yeah, that was the point that Yeshua tried to make. You cannot stop yourself from sinning. But what you can do is you could accept the blood sacrifice, which we now know, since this whole world runs on blood sacrifice, we now know that everybody's got a blood contract on their head. If you're walking on this earth, you have a blood contract on your head. You want to go down the rabbit holes and you talk about your social security number is a bond and there's strong men and the U.S. government is doing this and doing that. While all that is probably true, in real life, IRL, if you are in flesh and blood walking this earth, then you're bought with a price. And you're gonna, adhere to whatever master you believe paid that price. And Yeshua is who paid the price for me. When I look at my life contract and I look down at the bottom, it's his blood signature that's there. So when I went into now, by serendipity, being raised to understand and just having a feeling that I was somehow Hebrew, even as a little girl, and knowing that I am being taught culturally in the home that I was original Israel, just serendipitously or synchronicity kicked in, and I was able to find a decent place where I was able to go and learn and understand that, what a lot of the usurpers or, Khazars those who say they are Jews and are not, a lot of what they did is shroud a lot of the mystery, but really, it was shrouded because we were in bondage, so we were not able to see and the load that was so easy and being able to embrace the Torah and being able to feel like it's not under the law to observe certain feast days and be in sync with certain things and times that was listed in the Torah. It's a pleasure. It's not a burden. And so all the while, these people were enjoying the pleasure of observing these things that make a difference in the physical world because they do. And I'm stating for the record that they do. The usurpers, they follow the letter of the law. And in this natural world order, the letter of the law makes a difference. What they do not have, however, is the spirit of the law, because that is Yeshua. He is the spirit of the law. And those that worship him in spirit and in truth. What's our truth? Can we ever be 100% truth? We can't be 100% truth. Yeshua is the only one that's 100% truth. So guess what? He steps in the gap so that we can worship in spirit and in truth. And what we have in the Hebrew is the law of merit, which means that if your hands and your heart are clean and you do just one piece of the thing, it's as if you have done the whole thing. Now, doesn't that take a load off the 613? If you add Yeshua to the mix, we are walking around really burdened down and really confused about a lot that we don't really have to be. So it's going to be my honor and my pleasure to state what I'm going to state on these platforms for the record. Now, I don't know if you guys are going to, this is my first time. I did, find out about a really, really good, I said I wasn't really into doing no commercial, but here I am talking about it. I do have to say it's kind of on point. This streaming platform, which is called StreamYard. So I don't know if you guys are like forced to see what's going on the back end, but I would hope not, because I guess like that's the point of having this, is that we can pull these things up. So I still don't see where Jetty has kind of checked in. So I'll just I think anybody that's my Facebook friend should be able to get that link. Jetty, I don't know if you're watching, but if you go on my Facebook profile, I shot that link out, and hopefully you can see it, and I'll be able to. This is the initial broadcast, so y'all just gonna have to bear with me. I had a wardrobe malfunction on my first video, so this should be a breeze because I kind of did try to do my research to make this an acceptable experience for you guys, especially with it being my first time. My intro got a little messed up, but I was trying to hurry up and finish this scriptural lesson that we're going to get into tonight. And I'm a fan of keeping it short and sweet. I'm a fan of making the videos as short as needed, but as long as necessary. If we, really all get together and find that we're having a good time on this platform as the content gets pushed out, then we'll have engagement, and it'll be nice and long as we all chat. And I'm speaking and projecting into the future, because once you put these things out here, they stay out here, and I'm gonna definitely try to keep this all organized so that people can come and find it and people can look into it. And I'm not a fan of repeating myself a lot, so I'm gonna try to state things for the record, leave it on the mat, and refer everyone back to where they need to be if they have questions. But I say let's just let loose, let's have fun with it. All you guys who know me know that I just stay very reserved when it comes to stuff like this, but it's time to launch out. So let's put the ingredients on the counter, get into the kitchen consistently, whip it up, and see what we come up with. If it's a dessert for one, I see 3 of y'all on here. I know my ride is checked in. Bless y'all. It just doesn't let me see exactly who it is. But I know how to cook, and I just like my mama taught me. I don't have written recipes, so you know, hey, like the Migos said, I'm ready to kick it down and get whipping in the kitchen like a stir fry. So we're gonna launch into it, bringing it back to stepping into the Hebrew place, right? So I get in there, and just through life, I heard a lot of the Hebrew stuff being kicked around. I was raised in New York, went to a Jewish elementary school. My friends, my little friends in elementary school, their grandparents would come up to the school and they had the little tattoos and everything on their arm from the concentration camps and stuff. And then in that little Jewish elementary school, they made sure that those kids knew exactly what went on in the Holocaust. That was integrated part of our learning. So right across the way, because we were in school in Brooklyn and we lived in Brooklyn, but right down the way, here's a whole school full of people that's getting taught their history. Back on our side of town, that wasn't what was happening, but because of the busing program, we ended up at this Jewish elementary school. That combined with being taught at home that we were original Israel set me up to have the unique imprint that I feel I have today, and I'm gonna just do my best to bring in the harvest. That's where I'm at this point, because my heart is burdened that so many people our people are lost, y'all. Our people are lost, and we have to do something. And I'm not no hero. I'm not here to be nobody's hero. I gotta cut deals and wheel and deal with the Lord, because I'm not no hero, because your flesh don't really care for this. But if we can't start doing something, then we're just gonna be nothing. And I plan to just appear before you all very transparent, because it's going down. And it's going down right now. And I'm not gonna be here to be a fearmonger. This first video is gonna be a little housekeeping, because it be like that. I keep it 100% real, and that's just what I plan to do. And if the people like it, I love it. But I know one thing for sure: God is gonna be pleased with my obedience, and that's all it really comes down to. That's all I really care about. I don't know nothing about getting online. I don't know nothing about this. I'm not really that interested. I have been a LIGO. I don't be wanting people to see me like that. But if you're gonna bring it, then bring it 100. And that's what I say. Okay? I hope there's comments out there, but hopefully, as we grow and there's comments, I'll be able to see it within the stream. But let's move forward, because I know for sure y'all can see these slides and stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and actually let me just go back to this frame. Gotta play with it a little bit, learn how to get jiggy. So anyway, stepping into the Hebrew place, I see them every month being 100% steadfast on this thing they was calling Rosh Chodesh. So I'm like, okay, it's Rosh Chodesh, and they're doing it every first of the month, or like early in the month when it's the new moon. So I'm like, okay, I'm just minding my business. I'm here to take lessons. I wasn't there to be on the congregation side. It was 2 ways that you could get in the door. You go as a student and learn the Hebrew roots of the Christian faith. You go to the classes, or you go in the congregation and go on Saturdays on the Sabbath and learn, sit under the rabbi and learn and everything like that. And so it was a cool little place, but I went there as an academic. I wasn't interested in anybody's church because of previous issues, with the church, which I'm sure we'll get into that too. And, I just was like, give me the knowledge. That's all I wanted. Because at the same time, I was working on my bachelor's degree, but I went there with a Greek mindset. So I was literally split in half. On some nights of the week, I was at the Greek University getting my Greek degree. And on some nights of the week, I was at the Hebrew school at the yeshiva getting my Hebrew roots of the Christian faith. So it was a unique and perplexing time find out, y'all, it's in the Bible. I mean, it's in there. And, some might say, well, that's the Old Testament. Well, I don't really call it the Old Testament. I call it the Torah. Because for me, y'all, when Jesus was walking around, he didn't have the New Testament. I'm thankful for the New Testament. The New Testament is, quite frankly, some of you know, very important in my life right now. But let's just be frank. And his name wasn't Frank. It was Yeshua. He didn't have a New Testament. He didn't have a New Testament. Might be trying to give some stuff away too soon. He didn't have a New Testament, y'all. He walked with the scrolls, okay? And not all the ones that we ended up with, he read scrolls that we didn't end up with. So what shall we say to that? But anyway, I digress. But it all really ties back into what have we let go of as a cultural people, and who I'm speaking directly to. Anybody that calls on the name of the Lord, and rocks with Israel rocks with you. So what have we given away as a culture? What were we forced to forget? The time has come to remember, and that's just the bottom line on a couple of things. Remember who we are. Remember what we are. Remember where we came from. Remember how we messed it up, lost the bag, and now have been blessed beyond multidimensional planes to be alive and in existence in the time when it's time for all debts to be repaid. If we don't know what we lost, then how do we know what we're owed? Somebody explain that to me. If we don't know what we lost, how do we know what we're owed? Whether spiritually, financially, you talk about reparations. If you don't know who you are, what you lost, how do you know what you're owed? Mama and them don't know. They made sure to wipe out the last 2 generations, right? Right after me. They're gone. They can't tell you. Before that, civil rights, contemporaries who didn't sell out is gone. Passed away, that generation's gone. So why does the Bible say ask after the ancient past? Because if you're a people in bondage, your who you are, what you lost, all of that is going to be wiped out. So the only thing you can do is ask after the ancient past. Well, where do we, Judah, find proof, instruction, or anything that resembles our ancient past? It's in the scriptures. King James did whatever he did and dabbled, yabba dabba do, okay. It's whatever. It's whatever gets the job done. The generation before us used that book in its format, its current format. It's property of the crown, and that really gets my gold. But I can't do anything about that. I can just use the tools that's in the toolbox. It's the inspired word of God. Still, he made sure the job got done no matter who tampered with it. And again, I'm not a fan of repeating myself. Y'all already just gonna know where I stand and what it is. I'm not gonna get into no silly debates on here about Bible translations and all this and that. We just above that now. We're just above that now. Let's just get down to the meat and potatoes and get the job done. So as we pushing up on 38 minutes, I hope I've been entertaining enough to hold y'all attention. But now we're just gonna very quickly run through a quick little Bible study. I just really aim to make this as painless as possible. But the Bible and doing any kind of Bible study shouldn't be painless. Well, we already know what time it is with that. You get in, get out, get the people what they need, what they want. Else they ain't watching. They're not sticking around. And I would certainly love for people to get some kind of edification if I'm gonna embark on this enterprise. So let's just start with our fair use disclaimer. And we just gonna try to format. I like to have format and I like to have uniformity. So even though it may sound, like there'll be a lot going on. Hopefully, it'll be done with restraint and constraint, and it'll end up being, you know, something that you guys are interested in. But again, always remember that as far as I'm concerned, I know just the mere fact of me doing this means that the Lord is pleased, and therefore I'm happy as can be. All right, so here we go. Fair use disclaimer, we're allowed to reproduce, distribute, exhibit, just for the purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody. So Rosh Chodesh. So come to find out, these people every month, they really going hard at this. They going hard. They meeting up at the synagogue. Well, we call it the congregation because synagogue is Satan. They a whole nother situation. I might have to cancel this little green screen. It's blinking out when I take a sip. But y'all gonna let me know if it was annoying or not. So at congregation, like they all getting together, like the families making dinner and they all meeting up there. And I'm like, dang, like y'all really into this Rosh Chodesh thing? Like, what's up with this? Because this is smelling paganish. But I was just like, okay, like I'm the one that came to find out about the Hebrew roots of the Christian faith. So let me just see what's really popping with this, okay? Is this thing biblical or whatever, or did I find myself in the wrong Hebrew school? Okay? But as I went through the teachings and everything, I said, okay, well, it's in there. And, we just going to see what it says, okay? So this is the new moon feast. So let's see what is Rosh Chodesh, okay? So just for the scholars, here's a little Hebrew text. So beginning of the month, head of the month, is the name for the first day of every month in the Hebrew calendar. And remember, some of these lessons are moving forward on several assumptions, two main assumptions. These biblical studies are moving forward on the assumption that a lot of people that would be drawn to my content understand that it's going to be kicking in the scene, it's gangsta lean with a Hebrew lean. Okay, kicking in the scene with a Hebrew lead. That's what I want to say. That's what I do. Okay, so it's already kind of understood that anybody that's on this channel is either got an ear towards, I want to find out what's going on with this Hebrew thing. I'm a Christian. I'm hearing all this stuff in the air about, Hebrew. Like, what is this really about? The chosen people, what's going on. So some of these biblical studies are just going to be geared towards the fact that that's what you're on, because I'm going to be going live on the Hebrew feast days with a little light lesson, such as you'll see here. Some of them will be a little longer because like Passover and Yom Kippur, those are heavier feast days, so they'll take a couple more slides. But it's basically going to be just a simple breakdown for the people. What is this and who cares about it? That's basically all I'm going to format this as. What is it and who cares? And then we could just chat a little bit about why I personally think it's important, why I think it's of note. There's a lot of feasts on the calendar, but this is as the Lord allows, and that's just my opinion, where I stand on it. Okay, so it's marked by the birth of a new moon. It is considered a minor holiday akin to the intermediate days of Passover and Sukkot. Okay, so what that's talking about is, okay, like Passover, people might hear, oh, it's Passover, but they might think it's just one day. Like Easter is one day, but it's not. Easter is the fake imitator of Passover, the Babylonian overlay of Passover. And what Passover is usually more about like 7 days, okay? And there's a couple of days, especially on Passover itself, where you are commanded not to work. Again, what's so burdensome about that? To me, I find just keeping it real and kicking it just as somebody that, is just even, loosely trying to adhere to a Hebrew lifestyle. The most pressing thing about Passover is that you can't eat bread with leaven for 7 days, and you do your spring cleaning. That's where spring cleaning comes from, because traditionally in a Jewish household, I say Hebrew, but remember there's usurpers performing the acts. They, will go so far as to, you really get down on your hands and knees and you look in the corner and you're looking for breadcrumbs, because just one piece of leaven represents sin, and just one piece of leaven in the house they would feel makes the house unclean. Well, that's how you get up to the 613. You think that Yeshua came to spill his precious holy blood to have us crawling on the floor looking for breadcrumbs? We ain't getting down like that. No, it's the heart and the hands. Yeshua is the bridge. The burden is light. Yes, if you want to do that, you want to do your spring cleaning, you want to get popping for Passover, yeah, do your spring cleaning. Right there, people do spring cleaning anyway. That's where it comes from. We're the originators. So just what you normally do, what you think you got from Big Mama them down south, that actually hails right back to our Hebrew ways. But we just got a little separated and some stuff got confused in the mix. But hopefully, these upcoming days and these months and these years, as long as Jah allows, those of us who will and who want a little clarity will be able to get some. So within the 7 days of Passover, and Sukkot is also across several days. Sukkot is what you also might have heard called Feast of Tabernacles. So as I was growing up now, I would think, so before I learned about this, you have Sukkot and you have Feast of Tabernacles. As a Christian growing up, I thought that was two different holidays, or holy days as I call them, but they're not, okay? So in between the days of Passover where you're commanded not to work, there are days within that week where you can work. And so these are intermediate days. The same with Feast of Tabernacles or Sukkot. There are days in between that still encompass the holy days, but you can work, okay? So that's what Rosh Chodesh is. Now the next question is, who cares, okay? Well, let's just see what the scriptures say about it. This is not a channel where we will dismiss what the Torah says just because Yeshua came. That's not what's going down over here. We take the scriptures in totality. And that's the bottom line on that. There's room for debate. There's room for what we call midrash in the Hebrew. That, it's fierce debate that can go down sometimes. But this is not the time to expend all that energy. This is the time to get the teaching out. Let the people see it. Let the people, interject, and we can debate, but I'm not here to allow anyone to bash me over the head because they disagree with something. So I'm just coming with this. What I'm coming with is enough to bust the enemy wide open as far as my obedience goes with God. And I'm more than happy to discuss differences, but I do not throw away the Torah because Yeshua came. Yeshua came to fulfill the Torah, and therefore that fills the Torah for me even more. It makes it more well-rounded for me, and I accept it all. And that so-called law is not a tough pill to swallow because Yeshua brings the grace. You're just not supposed to be a grace abuser. Okay, so moving forward so we can wrap up, because I definitely would love to keep these under an hour. So who cares about this, right? Okay, so the scriptures say, Numbers 28:11. Then at the beginning of each of your months, you shall present a burnt offering to the Lord, 2 bulls and 1 ram, 7 male lambs, 1 year old without defect. Okay? Psalms 81:3 says, blow the trumpet at the new moon, at the full moon, on our feast day. Who's our? Psalms. David? New King, who this? Who was our? Okay, moving on. So who cares, right? Isaiah 66:23. Isaiah, another prophet, baller too. From new moon to new moon, And from Sabbath to Sabbath, all flesh shall come to worship before me. Oh, declares the Lord. Sound like somebody care. Let's look at this one. Ezekiel 46:1. Thus says the Lord God, the gate of the inner court facing east shall be shut the 6 working days. So 6 working days, the inner court facing the east. The inner court facing the east. Y'all know what that means. Facing the east shall be shut the 6 working days, but it shall be opened on the Sabbath day and open on the day of the new moon. Well, yikes. If you thought nobody cared. Now, again, Yeshua's in the gap. Yeshua's in the gap so that haters can shut their trap. Okay? I want y'all to understand where I'm coming from. Yeshua's in the gap so that haters can shut their trap. This is just what the Bible says. That's all I'm saying. Moving on. So, we talked about what is Rosh Chodesh. We talked about who cares. Some pretty important figures as far as our scripture beliefs goes. Pretty important. People seem to have cared about it. But guess what? It's all right. If you're into Rosh Chodesh or not into Rosh Chodesh, it's okay. It's all right. Because as you move now over into the New Testament, in Colossians, Paul, who many of you love oh so well, said, therefore, no one is to act as your judge in regard to food or drink, or in respect to a festival, or a new moon, or a Sabbath day. Things which are a mere shadow of what is to come, but the substance belongs to Christ. So what's the difference? The difference is Yeshua. The difference will always be Yeshua. Y'all know I'm super salty about this right here. But I told y'all I was rushing to finish these slides. Irritated. But the difference will always be Yeshua. But my main point is this. The new moon keeps coming up in some very striking places. And so what do I do? Just as a follower of Yeshua, when it comes to the new moon, I do my best to remember when is the new moon. I take time out to just reverence. I go outside, I look to the stars, I look to the sky, I speak to the Lord, and I say, God, thank you. Thank you for coming around another month. Thank you for bringing this thing around again. Thank you for opening your eyes upon us once again. The moon is known as the eye of God. And I'm not going to be telling y'all nothing you can't Google. So, I said to God, like, why are these people always on this Rosh Chodesh thing? He said the moon is the eye of God. When that new moon comes and I'm opening that eye, coming around again at 30 days, they are making sure that they are out there. The first thing I see, it's time for a blackout. It's time for soldiers to take their rightful place. It's time for Judah to stand up. And we're a speckled generation. We're a speckled people. There are many amongst us of many different colors. We are the rainbow tribe. And we coming at you. We coming at you. So with that, I'm going to close you guys. This was the initial broadcast of Kicking It with Soul, the flagship program of the Soul Maiden Broadcasting Network. As you see, the Soul Maiden, by his power, it's my pleasure. You can find me on Facebook. Had to give a different spelling there. Now, I'll be on YouTube. And I'll figure out a way to pipe this through Twitter. But, I'm not trying to go too hard, but they do say go hard or go home. And I'll do my best to learn a little bit more how to work this thing and make it a little bit more exciting for you guys. But I hope that you guys just enjoy this, because what I just did for this hour is giving you the best of me. It's easy to give you the best of me. I'm ready to put it out there. Okay? My whole thing is I hope that you guys enjoy it, because guess what? I know God will. So comment, like, share, subscribe. Get at me. Let me know what's going on. Peace.